How's it going? This is Jack Devine, and welcome back to yet another episode of Office Hours. I am kicking it here in my studio because, frankly, I'm bored and I'm procrastinating a little bit. I have been asked to play some music by a really cool band, and I'm in bad position in that I don't really know a lot of what I got to play, and I'm very, very, very nervous that I'm gonna blow it. But I'll figure it out, I'm sure. Anyway, guys, I'm here, and I'm hoping that you guys have questions, and if I can help, I'm eager to help, and if I can't, I'm going to turn down this silly thing. Hey, Arlo, you said hi. I don't know if anybody else is on, but anyway, today I figured we would talk about one of the more vexing and perplexing songs in the Grateful Dead's catalog, and that is Deal. Hang on a second here. Let's get a little bit more sauce out of this microphone. There we go. That seems to be about the sweet spot where people can say they can hear me over my silly guitar playing. So let's see what we've got here. Everybody hear everything all right? Does the backing track sound okay? I'm not so crazy about the direct out from the Kemper. Seems to sound better with my 335, but that may just be because that's a better sounding guitar. Can't watch now, Patrick. Get your priorities straight, man. Who needs this job thing you've probably got? All right. Well, hey, man, that's cool, man. Okay, I'm super glad that everything sounds cool. Thanks for helping me proofread, Arlo. So let's talk about Deal. All right, real pain in the ass song for a lot of people. Let's do this. Let's straighten this out. I think that'll help, right? All right. So pretty complicated chord progression, actually. We've got an A chord, C sharp, okay, the flat 7. Okay, so it's going to look like a C7 brought up 1 fret. Look out for the low and high E. Don't hit them. All right, and this chord right here is probably the most vexing, except, I guess, with the exception of having to hit the other chord changes that happen in the tune, which come kind of quick. So it's kind of a merciless pace. So A, right? Then F sharp minor, and then it's actually an A chord with an E in the bass. But many, many, many folks out there play. And I won't feel too bad for you if you do that, because you're probably not playing it with a band. Because if you were, your bass player would say, I've got the E, you're supposed to be on this, you're supposed to be on the A triad. Okay, so F sharp, A, with the E in the bass, and then D, and then D sharp diminished. Okay, or E flat diminished, depending on what you, I'm not quite sure which is the proper one to call it. But anyway, then back to A. Now to a different F sharp chord. This is a dominant 7. All right, and then that leads to a B7, and then to D. A major again. C sharp 7, again with that little walk down. A, D, diminished, and now the chorus, which is mercifully simple compared to the verses. A, G, D. Again. Okay, so the rhythm itself can be somewhat daunting, and heaven forbid you try to solo over this thing, right? And you think, oh, well, it's a bluesy song in A. I'll start here. Wrong. It ain't going to work out for you, folks, if you do that. Don't do that. You got to be thinking A major pentatonic over that first chord. All right, and then this next chord is really the baffler, right? That's the one that everybody chokes on, because there is no C sharp dominant 7 chord in the key of A major. But if we take some time to take a look at this chord, you'll see what it is functioning as is the 5 of the next chord we're going to. It's kind of like a chess move where you're setting up where you want to go by going here. Okay, so we're going A to a chord that is in the A key. That's F sharp minor, right? That's the 6th chord in the A major scale. A, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? So that 6th chord, that's diatonic to the A major. But the way we get there is a really cool device. We call this a secondary dominant, okay? So that means one of the secondary chords, not the home chord, okay? We take the 5 of that, okay? That means the 5 chord. So F sharp, the 5 of F sharp is C sharp. Well, now's your chance to get a good look at it, okay, Alex? And so we're going to be playing its 5 as a dominant chord. Okay, by playing the 5-7, that's the 5 chord with a flat 7 in there. By playing that chord, we earn the right to come here. Okay, so if we want to come here, we can reverse engineer coming here from going here. So it sounds a little different. All right, and one of the places where you'll hear this chord change a lot is in gospel music. Okay, where more often than not, rather than playing the C sharp in this instance, there would have been this chord change. Okay, and these two notes are the same. All right, and rather than playing the C sharp, you put the 5 in the bass and you get out of the bass. Like that. That kind of motion. That voice leading is very common in gospel and blues. Okay, so hearing that here, it's just he's just going. Right, so he goes there first. Okay. Okay, F sharp minor, A major. So if we're soloing over that, okay, that C sharp 7 chord, we're really going to have some problems unless we figure this out. So what are the notes that kind of give it its C sharp 7-ness, right? We've got a C sharp for sure. Its 3rd is really the note that's the key here. This F is problematic, right? Because now we've got this note to account for, okay? So A major. So we've still got a lot of the keys that were the notes that we would be playing over A to consider, but rather than F sharp, we want to focus on that note, okay? And then when we come into the F sharp, then we're there. Okay, so A. See how that flat 7 and that 3rd are married to that root note. Okay, so again. And that pulls, pardon me, to here. Okay, so that's what's happening. It's a secondary dominant, C sharp 7. Right, and because it's a dominant chord, that means we can play all kinds of cool stuff over it. Now, normally in Grateful Dead music, when we see dominant chords, we play the Mixolydian mode. Sorry. But in this instance, it's not really going to sound so dynamite when we do that. There's just this note right here is primarily that's the chief offender, as is this one here. All right, so what we end up doing is we see the F sharp chord coming. Right, so we're gonna take that note and put it in with our C sharp dominant sound. So that's the 3rd, the root, and likewise we're gonna add this note. We end up with the sound that sounds eerily similar to F sharp minor, okay, but from the harmonic minor scale. And you'll hear that right here. I'll play a little bit of it for you, okay? So. superimposing that F sharp harmonic minor over top of that C sharp chord is a really dope move. All right, so you definitely want to learn that. And whether or not you come to it by calling it F sharp harmonic minor, or if you start to think about it as a modification of your C sharp, okay, dominant scales, and make this what they would call a Phrygian dominant by adding the flat 2 and the flat 6. Those notes are the same, just as we would refer to the A major scale and the F sharp minor scale as the same set of notes. We would just be calling them different names. Okay, so if you want to think about it as heading into this F sharp by playing F sharp minor, F sharp harmonic minor, that's cool. So you're going to be playing harmonic minor of F sharp from its 5. Okay, but when you play the fifth mode of the harmonic minor scale, they call that Phrygian dominant. Okay, so this is kind of dry and heady, but there it is. Okay, so now we've made it a whole whopping 2 chords and we're already exhausted. Okay, but A, that funky C sharp dominant chord. Okay, F sharp minor standard with a flat 7. Now that A chord. Right, and now we're just going to take. Oh, yeah, I don't know. I don't think there's really too many different approaches to this song, to be honest, Alex. I think you just have to take it chord by chord and then figure out a way to make it through the maze, okay? And it's a bit of a white knuckler for a while. Okay, so we're coming up out of that F sharp minor, A chord, D, and then the D flat diminished, a D sharp diminished part. Okay, so we can see the D triad right here, and all we're doing is adding D sharps and keeping the rest the normal. So okay, and then back to A. Okay, then back to the C sharp. Again with the F, A, and then A, G, D. The chorus is where you can kind of get a little busy and a little looser, frankly. You can rock it up a little bit more. I have a hard time soloing over the chorus, actually, believe it or not. I tend to simplify and kind of get into a bit more of the rhythm stuff and then focus more of my brain power on the changes here. Let's see what's going on, see if anybody asked anything here. It's so crazy. You're simply not there yet. That's what you're saying? You can definitely take away some things. Let's take a look at that opening chord change again and see if it can open up any barriers here. We're taking this A chord. Okay, then we're going to bring that F in there, okay? Okay, so if we did... Okay. There is no key-centered approach with this song, Alex. There's absolutely just no way to do it. There is no key. This does not have a key. This thing is shifting all over the place. So a key-centered approach to this song would be fruitless endeavor, in my opinion. There's just no way to do it. There's just too much. There's too many non-diatonic chords happening. So back to what I was saying. If you clock the chromatic motion that's taking place between the E and the F sharp note over those first three chords, since it costs a lot to win. Okay, and now we're going F sharp minor. Since it costs a lot to win, and even more to lose. Now this little voicing right here of showing the D chord, and then showing the D sharp diminished chord is basically going and starting to recognize that this looks an awful lot like the B7 chord that's coming in a few seconds, right? That's really important. And to also realize that the nature of the diminished beast is that we can add things like, because once we get into this shape, okay, we're flat thirds or tritones apart. And once all the notes are part of a diminished arpeggio, then you're free to do that wiggle room where you that wiggle move where you come up 3 or minus 3 frets. All right, or okay. So once we're there, okay, we've got right. That's a really cool thing to be able to do, is to understand how to solo over the diminished chord. So if you take this really slow, you could look at it like this, right? A, C sharp, okay? So by hitting the F, you're hitting the third of the C sharp chord, okay? Okay, then, okay? Boom, 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 boom. Pulling flat 5, 4, minor third root of our F sharp minor chord, okay? So that's the D chord, the D flat diminished, D sharp diminished, and then back into A7. Pretty tasty. Okay, that's F sharp, A, D, and then the diminished chord. And then again, back to A. Third of the F sharp that we just went down to. That B flat, that's a weird chord too. Now we're playing the 6th, but now instead of it being an F sharp minor, we're playing F sharp 7. Okay, so another secondary dominant. Now we're not getting to it by that same trick of playing the 5 of it before. Okay, now we're going to kind of play some cool chicanery here. We're going to this F sharp 7 to its B, and then to D. So isn't that just lovely? We're doing these chords are a minor third apart, and so too does it kind of echo what we just did by using those diminished fragments. Those are parts of those actual 7th chords as well. So that opens up a lot of doors when you're soloing. So just made it through there just a little bit. Okay, so thinking about what chords you're playing into is essential in this tune. So again, A major pentatonic, third of the C sharp is right here. That's the move. Okay, so see that F note? We're going to target that. We're going to come down from here. We're going to see if we can hit it there. We're going to start here and try to hit here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so that's our first chord change. Sorry, I screwed that up. Okay, so really you're going to have to take the time to sit down and figure out a couple of these lines, just like I did. Okay, just doing that. Okay. Okay, so take the time to figure out that first change, maybe in 3 or 4 spots. A. C sharp. Okay, that's that harmonic minor trick. Sorry. Okay, or you could think more like that's a C7, C sharp 7 arpeggio. And then all we're going to do is add this flat 2. That's your biggest problem right now, is I have to rely a ton on guesswork. We'll stop guessing and slow down, figure it out, and then scale it back up. That's the best way to figure this stuff out, is by taking the time slowly to go. Don't try to learn a tune like Deal at tempo. It's just not wise. My suggestion is, and I did not, just want you to understand, like, that is not how I did it. And I don't recommend you do it. I think you should break it apart really slow, like literally come up with a loop that's like. Like that. So then go. A. And then just get into that position and fuck around a little bit. F sharp minor. A. D. Diminish. Is that Jacksnax? Is that who Jordan is? Who is that? Is that my boy? Are you still on the road? Yeah, that's right. Nice to hear from you, Jordan, man. Glad you're doing well. So this is not that complicated, but what it is it's a lot of changes coming in a row. So you just have to remember, all right, how do I get from the A to the C? C sharp rather, and then C sharp to this is pretty simple. All we do is go from playing this F sharp minor. So okay, that's the harmonic minor of F sharp minor. So to just a regular old minor. And A major. D, no problem. And then the real problem is, what do we do over that diminished chord? So if we break that down and go D, and then go into the diminished diminished sound. Okay, so that's D. Okay, that's the diminished sound. So that's. Okay, and that brings us right back to our A. And then G. D. Alex, I don't mean to be taking you away from your end of work regimen, but hey, I'm happy to be a distraction here. Getting ready for a little Thanksgiving business over on this side of the. Well, I don't really want to do too much, man. My kids hate turkey. Even when I make it right, they want me to get. Yeah, Deal is such a great song. They want us to order in 3 or 4 Peking ducks and enjoy. And just enjoy a bunch of Peking duck. I work from home. Okay, good. All right. Okay, so this A area right here is a really fertile ground for exploring the deal. Okay, just like we did it here. Up. No, my wife is not a deadhead. She is. I mean, she likes the music, but she's no. The short answer is no. She likes some Grateful Dead music quite a bit, but she's not silly like me. All right, so if we try those same ideas of A, C sharp, and F sharp, well, we just gotta start this here, right? So let's try it. So that's A. So that's C sharp sound. So the way to look at that is if you see the C sharp triad. No, don't forget, we're not doing our typical Mixolydian major second. We're going to do a flat 2. So, okay, so that's why we get that kind of that snake charmer shit. Which releases very nicely into F sharp minor. Okay, A, D, and now we're right there. We're in the position to grab that D sharp to make it diminished. A, F sharp 7, right? And now what comes after the F sharp? B, right? And then D. And now up here, we're going to take advantage of that same little chromatic motion from E, F, and F sharp. Watch. See how I grabbed that? And not only that, I reached up and bent to the C sharp. So it went from root, but had the third underneath it. Up to F sharp. Okay, so now we're going up to F sharp. Thank you so much. A little bluesy. Sounds like I'm out of tune. That B note's a little sharp. Thank you. What did you just say? That was very flattering. I'm in the need of ego boost. Hang on, what did you say here? Well, somebody said really added so much color to your playing. But okay, seriously, can't thank you enough for your work. Thanks. Planning on dedicating some serious time to digest what I've created. Yeah, the truth is I don't expect everybody to be able to keep up with everything that gets put out there by me. The point is largely to document it and just have it as an online resource for people that are interested in the work that this Grateful Dead music, and I have dedicated a lot of time to it. But the truth is, there's a lot of other stuff on my web channel and my YouTube channel as well that helps me do what I'm doing in this context. But I utilize it in other musical scenarios. It's just there's so many songs with the Grateful Dead music, and the whole purpose of it is to consistently reinvent it. There's only so many times you can teach Comfortably Numb, right, or Hotel California. If you play a solo that's different than what Gilmour did or whatever those Feldner and Joe Walsh did, then you're in deep doo-doo. You're not really allowed to do that. All right, so that's kind of why the Grateful Dead music makes so much sense. Plus, it utilizes a lot of modal and theoretical stuff. So, that's right. No, it's definitely pretty difficult. I've spent a lot of time in my playlist outlining tips. Okay, I'm happy to hear that. How do I best differentiate the F sharp minor A change since they're so similar? Well, I guess the thing that I would do is not hit the A over the F sharp on the downbeat. So let's take a look at that, okay? So that I hit the A, and then I hit the E, okay? So that was kind of going like this. All right, so that's kind of playing off what the bass was doing over the A chord, which is hitting the E note. And that's what causes all that confusion amongst everybody, because everybody hears that low note and thinks, all right, and I'll tell you, I was guilty. I used to play E major all day long, and then I watched Garcia play the fucking thing, and then you see him playing a straight old A major chord. But then you see Phil going, and you're like, okay, because I'm hearing this. Okay, so pretty interesting sound. So let's think about other ways of differentiating that. I'm going. So if I start on the F sharp, okay. And then, so that's the F sharp, then A, and then into D. The hands can never surpass the eyes. Yeah, I mean, I'm not looking at the notes on the fingerboard and targeting them ultimately. I'm using my ears. But at first, with a tune like this, it really does help to know what's on the fretboard and see that, oh, I'm playing a C sharp 7 chord right here. The notes that make that up are C sharp, F, B, okay? So, and to some extent, you can always, you can always think about the 5, but the 5 of this chord, that's not really going to mean too much over it, okay? Because it only means something, I guess, in that we're on our way in. We could use it as an approach tone into the minor third of the F chord, F sharp chord. So to answer Jordan's question, I didn't see who it was that asked it. That's how I would differentiate: is play arpeggio off of the F sharp. So that's a 7th arpeggio, right? Root 3, 5, flat 7, and then root minor 3 up into 3, and it's like a little A shape, A chord at a C shape. D flat, D sharp diminished, and then back into A. And that is really a good exercise, is just playing A, G, D, A, G, it's tough because, you're just moving all over the place and you kind of have to scramble a little bit. So get your boots laced up tight for the chorus, or you can be a little bit more, you can do a little bit more of like just the A Mixolydian gravy kind of poured all over top of that and just play from A to D, right? So that would be like. But the problem is that G, So a lot of people will tell you, oh yeah, just play A Mixolydian, but again, you're not going to get the motion of the chords. You have to think like, oh, I'm on the G, then to the third of the D, right? And then at that point, you might as well be thinking more chordally and arpeggio wise. Okay, and that can get definitely very complicated. Should have clarified. The quote I threw in there means that unless one cultivates the eyes to, oh boy, Alex, buddy, what do you got going on here? Eyes to discern good from bad, you can't hope to improve the hands that create works of art. Okay, I see. So eyes, not really eyes, but having to just work on ear training for sure, obviously. So but just the same, actually using your eyes to navigate through these changes is not so verboten. I definitely look at the neck at first and then try to associate what I'm seeing with what I'm hearing and then try to forget about what I'm seeing because it's going to, ultimately, you want to be able to close your eyes when you play and just focus on what you're hearing, all right? So at least unless you're looking to get a signal from your bandmates or, something like that. So deal. The main secrets to deal is getting your A major pentatonic shapes together. Bring that minor third in there. Okay. Okay, then think about that, how to play over that C sharp dominant, with that Phrygian dominant sound. Okay, that's a really important part of this tune. That's just F sharp harmonic minor. Then you have your regular F sharp minor. Okay, then A. Okay, see how similar they sound? Jordan's right. And granted, I'm ending on that C sharp on both of them, but here's the F sharp. Or. Okay, so those are A arpeggio. Okay, 1 3 5 1 3 5 1 3 5 root. Whoop. So F sharp, A, D, diminished shape. Okay, that's all I did. Now A. B flat on that F sharp. I shouldn't need an ego boost. The scale of what you've created is huge. Oh, that's sweet of you to say. I was just kidding around. The truth is, I'm not terribly insecure. but it is nice to see somebody say something nice about you. But then again, it does hurt when people rag on you or slag you and shit like that. So, but you got to be brave. You got to put yourself out there. So that F sharp, A, down to F sharp. Okay, then you've got your B chord. Okay. Okay, so this is one of my favorite little arpeggio shapes. Root 3 5 flat 7, and then get to the third. And then so we could do. That's a D chord. So 1, 2, 3, 5, 1, 2, 3, 5, 1, 2, 3. Back to the 5 of our root of our A chord. So that's B, D, and now on the downbeat, right? Too much more to talk about. It's just time for you to sit down and actually start looking at some arpeggios and really playing through this shit because it is thick. It's thick. I do have a decent lesson on this this already out there on my YouTube channel. If you want to dig into it, just Jacksnax deal. Look it up. It's right there. It'll definitely come up. And I'm rocking through a lot of these same ideas, obviously. But here, if anybody has questions about how to approach it, this is kind of the point of the whole office hours thing, is to square the circle for you guys, because this still with like a note for note explanation of the solo, you may have had questions, or you may just be living with the thought bubble, like question mark over my head with this tune, because it's a little wackadoo. It's not difficult in the way like Bob Weir's writing is difficult. This is very traditional and typical. This is actually very typical concepts going on here. These are very traditional things. It's just that we've grown up in an era where we didn't hear a lot of like ragtime and like that kind of Tin Pan Alley shit. So, but that's why this conjures that saloon kind of energy. It's got all the tropes. It's kind of like a kitchen sink progression, okay, where it's got every cool change in the book kind of wrapped into one. And so, pardon my big old gut here. All right, so that's about it for deal. Anybody got any other questions? And don't ask me about cows at this point. Does anybody have anything else to discuss or say hi about, or whatever's on their mind? Otherwise, it might be snack time for me, or I'm actually learning how to play Saint of Circumstance right now, and it's giving me fits. Is this one of the more difficult Dead songs? Absolutely, Alex. This song, in my opinion, to me, I think this is what I don't find it difficult any longer, but it certainly at one point in time presented quite the challenge for me. I think this is a song that usually makes the average blues rock guitar player who thinks he's hot shit weep like a little baby, because they think they're hot stuff, and then all of a sudden these non-diatonic changes come and they just start clamming it big time. And it's relentless. It keeps coming, and there's more, and there's a constant. If you don't know the progression, it can be very, very humbling. I've been playing this song for 30 years, and it finally got it under my fingers probably in the last 10 or 15. So, it's not going to happen overnight, but it can happen very, very quickly once you adopt the right strategy. I just did, for the longest time, I didn't understand why it didn't work, what I was doing, because I was sitting there thinking, well, this is A blues. I should be able to, I should find it in there. Okay. So, but it turns out, no, you really have to have some knowledge of the chords. And so that brings me kind of full circle to the whole concept that you always hear me espousing, is rhythm guitar is what makes great lead guitar. Without great rhythm guitar, you're never going to be able to play great lead guitar. You deprive yourself of half of the blueprint. Okay, it's like a roadmap. When you see a C sharp 7 chord right here, you've got all the information. You just need to articulate it rather than block chord it. You need to arpeggio. Right? Sorry. And you can definitely look to other forms of music to learn some of these tricks and tropes. Like I said, blues and gospel in particular. Ray Charles tunes certainly help learning these kinds of changes and make them significantly less intimidating, but you have to be accustomed to them. You have to kind of internalize what some of those changes are. So let's shift gears and open it up to just just a general floor questions. If anybody's got anything on their mind or anything that pertains to something other than deal, I feel like we've kind of exhausted that. So let's see what we got. Boom. Anything happening here? What do we got? Why is my phone not working? This is my temp teleprompter. I think it's a hard song to play because it forces you to play over chords instead of just pentatonic phrases. Absolutely. Absolutely. Dominant Phrygian is just Phrygian with a major third? Yes. Yes, that's exactly what it is, Black Math. Okay, or you could look at it like it's the Mixolydian with a flat 6 and a flat 2, or you could say it's the F sharp harmonic minor. Okay, those are the ways I would look at it, depending on how dyed in the wool you are with your Phrygian chops. If you've got great Phrygian chops, all you need to do is make it a major third, and you're cold. I mean, then you're just gonna fly. I just never liked playing Phrygian, and then I realized what it was good for. Actually, was treating it like if I'm playing, let's say I'm out of D. Okay, so that would make the Phrygian chord would be F sharp, right? So, right, that sound. And we get that sound of. So that's it, sorry. I end up using that a lot as a way of playing the A chord. All right, I'll use that arpeggio of, right, sorry. So that can come in handy for an A13 or A7 arpeggio. But generally speaking, I don't really think about Phrygian so much, so that's why I kind of get hung up on it. Any general tips on exercises, phrasing to sound more like Jerry? Well, you know, in a way, there's no exercises that I can think of. What I would say is try playing tunes. Okay, there's a couple of little licks that are really handy. Okay, you gotta get with this little, like, one of the things that nobody seems to really clock with Garcia is how much he loved Smokey Robinson. Okay, this little lick. Whoa, little darling. Okay, there's a. Okay, so so if we think about, like, Second That Emotion is a really great song to learn how to sound like Jerry Garcia, believe it or not. So maybe you wanna give me kisses sweet, but only for one night with no repeat. Maybe you go away and never call, but a taste of love is worse than none at all. Something like that. Yeah, baby. All that stuff is, they're not just close. They're the same. They're the same. Okay, they're not close. They're the same exact notes. So it's just a rose by another name. Whatever way you think about it easiest, go with that. All right. So back to the idea about how to get some of the Garcia stuff in your blood is learning some of these. This little lick. Coming down to the 2 from the flat 3 and finding a way to learn how to skip from root to 6 rather than hitting that dreaded flat 7. It just toughens it up too much. Only use it when you're on your way to the 4. So pentatonic major with the flat 3, okay? So, you know. the melody of a great tune. And when you learn these little licks, take them in other places, right? Okay, and then that way you can use the lick to move around, right? So you got to have that plurality of vocabulary. It can't only exist in one place. So very quickly you want to adopt the making duplicates and taking every lick and transposing it into 3 octaves or 4 octaves, or finding the places around the board where you can play that. Because if you don't, it ends up getting filed into one idea. So that lick right there is a huge thing, as is like that kind of thing. Or so coming up from the flat 3. Same with Lester flat G runs. Okay, all that bluegrass stuff. All that shit really stayed with Jerry, I think. Okay, so you've got some of that stuff, and obviously you've got some blues, but his blues doesn't come out of the minor pentatonic so much. He's not thinking. He's more like thinking about, Okay, so think about major pentatonic and using your major thirds. Yeah, of course, I like Goose quite a bit. Do I enjoy gospel, neo soul? Yeah, except for one thing. I'm not a religious person. Actually, religion really kind of gets on my nerves a lot. So I don't really listen to too much religious music, even when it has great elements to it. I have a hard time, embracing that stuff, because I kind of attribute a lot of what ails most of the division between people to religious beliefs rather than intellectual thoughts. But that's probably going to cost me just to say that. If I wanted to, I'm running out of battery power on my rig here. If I wanted to get a little more fancy than just a diminished arpeggio over the diminished chord, how would I approach that? Well, you can look at whole half stuff. Okay, so that would be, so if we're doing, so the question is, if we're talking back to deal, as my assumption, Jordan, so if we're doing, since it costs a lot to win and even more to lose, I wouldn't bother doing it there. You and me better spend some time wondering what to choose. Oh, okay, so I hate to refer you to a diminished lesson that I have called Diminishing Returns, which actually breaks out a couple of my favorite ideas to use over top of diminished chords. But one of the things we can do is look at this, as a D7 chord with the E flat in its bass. So what we can do is just play D7, okay? So that's going to look an awful lot like the chord we were just playing. This is going to be, so if we've got, so that would be D with a, right? Okay, that's it. So if you play G harmonic minor over top of that, you're going to sound really good. Okay, and the reasoning behind this is if we you can see that F sharp is featured loud and proud. Okay, that's the reason why G harmonic. Sorry. Yep. Okay. So that would be a real solution. The other is you could think about a whole half approach, or half whole rather. So half, whole, half, whole, half, whole. I don't play half whole particularly or whole half very often at all. I'll tend to just use this sound and go. Now, granted, there are some half and whole scale stuff in there, but generally speaking, I view that as more like a modification of the arpeggio itself. So, if to answer your question, I'm not really the most erudite guy when it comes to playing diminished scales over stuff. Do I have any good half whole licks? Well, yeah. That's kind of a nice one because we're coming. So, we're utilizing still some of the arpeggio. That kind of thing. The other thing we can do is we can harmonize the chord like this. Okay. So now we're harmonizing diminished chords in thirds, including their half whole step, beneath. I have 5% battery remaining. I think I'd better duck out of here before it goes dead. But I want to thank everybody for tuning in and saying hi, and I'm hoping that the improvements in fidelity are increasing your listening pleasure, so to speak. So the fact that you can hear my voice loud and clear, although you can't see my pretty face. Hello, folks. Even though you can't see my pretty face while I'm talking at you, hopefully you had a good time hearing me play some guitar and getting to bounce some ideas off me. And I guess we'll see each other soon, okay? And thank you very much. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do. And if you're interested in grabbing some private lessons from little old me, that sounds like a great idea. I've got some cancellations that people have bagged out on lessons and stuff like that. Just they're going. So one of them has to go into surgery and stuff like that. So I have some availabilities. And people actually finish studying. Like they'll study with me for a year and a half, and there isn't much more to really teach them other than now go sit down for the next 5 or 6 years and apply. That's really where it's at. So I hope you guys are really super, super happy and getting ready for a good Thanksgiving. And of course, I'll let you know, Alex, when I'm playing again in Brooklyn. And I'm really happy that everybody's tuning in and getting a good time at getting some good knowledge out of these lessons. Okay, so signing off from the basement in Brooklyn. It's been a pleasure. And oh yeah, yeah. Well, there you go. Thank you very much, Jordan, for sounding off and making yourself present here. Jordan is a student who's become a friend, and I look forward to him moving here to New York in the new year. But if he ever wants to come back and learn some more, but like he says, he's got a ton of stuff already in the hopper. We record all of our lessons that we have together, and so you've got a lot of opportunity to go back and kind of effectively read that book again. And you're never the same student twice. You're always going to be more open to what's in there. So the next time you go back, maybe 6 months later, you're in a different place and you can get a lot more out of the lesson. All right, folks, I'm going to say adios. All right, peace, love, happiness to everybody, and have a great Thanksgiving. Okay, all right, take care of yourselves.